Oh,
Mr. Uno, what's up?
well, I'm great, thanks. How are you doing?
Fine, thanks, aside from the usual frustrations of watching the Gooners.
I take it you didn't enjoy the match.
Hard to enjoy things like that, man. It's just ridiculous. Unbelievable, but
I, I mean, I
we've
mean,
come to
come,
expect it.
I mean, come on. Come on. It's unacceptable that we've come to expect that kind of a turnout. Doesn't it make you
I mean,
nervous?
okay, yeah, let me say, I'm not say I've come to expect it. Sorry, I seem to fix this. Nothing surprises me. I think that's probably a better way of putting it. Nothing we do surprises me anymore.
You mean in the negative sense, anyway?
In all senses. I mean, we rocked up to City and it was, I think expectations were pretty low and we put
Yeah,
in a performance the way we did.
yeah.
So all possibilities are possible with us.
Yeah. So, if we talk about this match, I said it earlier that um, it's really just an opportunity for the coach to select players for the next match. Otherwise, it doesn't really mean anything. That's how I felt, you know. And I would have liked for Aubameyang to get that golden boot, and I could see he was going for it, but.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that even he can't salvage a personal award out of this, despite carrying the team goals wise anyway.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, on a personal level with him, it's obviously a bit disappointing. But I think if he's being honest, he can't say he didn't get chances before, not just in this game. There's been a
Exactly.
few since the restart that Aubameyang really should have put away. That I think you
Sitters.
more than anyone be
Exactly.
personally disappointed.
Yeah.
Particularly the Spurs game,
Yeah.
that shot that hit the crossbar and things
Yeah.
like that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. I think we all want to see the back of the season. So I'm happy with that and looking to start again next year and in what is it, 6 weeks or
September.
whenever the new
Yeah.
season starts. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, fine. Um, this is like our first time having you on here. And
Yeah.
I'm sure you've watched as many games as you can, if not all the games, because I know you're a
Yeah.
devout Arsenal fan. How would you
Yeah.
sum up the Premier League season specifically? Like what would you
Broadly, not just for us.
yeah, no, for us from our perspective, and maybe
Okay.
in general as well, but from the Arsenal perspective firstly.
I think, yeah, from an Arsenal perspective, obviously, just great disappointment. I don't think any Arsenal fan um, doesn't share in that disappointment. I think when it almost kind of started at the end of the last season, how that petered out with Emery, because you were in a really good position, well, comparatively at the end of last season, and we just couldn't seem to close things out to secure Champions League
Yeah,
football,
yeah,
and
yeah,
ended up missing out by a point when we had like three opportunities
yeah,
to
yeah,
get at least that point.
yeah.
So that it kind of carried over into the beginning of the season under Emery, and it just went from bad to worse under him.
Yeah,
And I think for me, personally, the biggest frustration was that seeming inability to pull the trigger with Emery earlier, when I think everyone knew this was not going to end any other way. So I'm not
yeah,
sure why the powers that be took so long to make that decision. And
yeah,
in the end, I think we've paid a little bit for that, in that Arteta didn't have more time
yeah,
with the team, which has shown what he's done in a short space of time. I think is pretty admirable.
yeah,
So yeah, I think overall is that sense of disappointment and yeah, that frustration of not doing certain things well in the end. And a slight, I mean, I won't say slight, but there's a sense of optimism.
yeah,
Um, seeing what Arteta has done, and hopefully, if the FA Cup final next weekend goes well, even more positive. Sorry, more positivity to take into next season. Sorry, I'm just struggling to hear.
Oh, okay. I think your ambient sound is a bit too loud there.
Sorry, someone's, I don't know, the background.
More Vile. We've got, yeah, okay. Okay.
Sorry.
Just for now,
Yeah,
sorry.
so I think, yeah, so hopefully Arteta can carry that positivity from the end of the season, hopefully with an FA Cup win, into the new season, and the club backs him properly, that he gets what he needs in the summer transfer window. And yeah, there's a lot of changes that need to happen, and Arteta said as much, which is a good thing. So great disappointment from the end, but hoping to be positive, wanting to be positive about the new season. And I think with the right decision making, there's a real opportunity. There's a few opportunities to improve greatly, first of all, into the new season, and maybe do something special under Arteta, because he seems to have faith in the squad. I think more so than anyone else, which he has to have. And he just seems like, on a one-on-one basis, a really good coach. He's coached players that a lot of us might have written off in the past. And who knows what he can do with players that are of a higher quality.
Not to mention that he came up the ranks in coaching pretty fast. I mean, I read an article just the other day about how Dennis Bergkamp wants to make a return to coaching. I'm like, he's thinking of if Arsenal were to contact him, he would take up the job. I'm like, man, but how long ago did Dennis Bergkamp play? How long ago did Mikel Arteta play? And you think like so much time has elapsed, but this guy has made so much since his retirement as a player to this point as a coach. He's made so many strides. So I don't know, which is a question that came up from someone. It's like, okay, fine. Do you think that going forward, we've got Movile by the way here with us. Sorry, man. I'm just having a chat with D about our season overall in general. And
I was busy listening to D's pearls of wisdom there.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to interrupt.
She's a devout Arsenal fan as well. So okay, anyway, I'll get back to my point. What do you think about this match anyway? Like, we'll talk about this match and then like the season overall. Because that's what we're talking about. The Premier League specifically.
Is that to both of us or Ngubile?
Yeah.
Hey?
Sorry, Ngubile, go
on. So just in terms of this match, it was one of those where, in all honesty, I think if we were playing a side that was probably better caliber, they would have trounced us.
For sure.
If you have a look at how Watford dominated us. For me, they were threatening every time they got the ball. They just looked much stronger, quicker than us. They attacked with fluidity to their attack. And I think, in all honesty, they probably have themselves to blame for going down, because they had a head full of chances that they should have, in my honest opinion, buried. And they should have actually, for me, walked away with the victory. But I'm not complaining. I mean, I'm not really a fan of Troy Deeney. So I'm very glad that they've in the end gone down. But on our side, I think I was very disappointed with how we played. If anything, I probably walked away from this game with less confidence going into the FA Cup.
Into that final.
Because remember, we were talking about building the momentum, wanting to see. Remember, we had a debate about what should Arteta do? Should he be playing his full strength side in order to buid that momentum post the Man City match, or rest of his players? He kind of did neither. Because he played in the last game, he went and threw on basically all the forwards, and it was kind of disjointed. Today, same thing. He kind of played his strong side, but then for me, they really weren't up to scratch. They seemed a bit subpar with nothing to really play for. You know, they didn't seem to have that motivation to go out and fight for it. They looked like they were trying to. A lot of them were pulling out of tackles, not going into 50-50s, which I could kind of understand as well, because I think some of them were trying to protect themselves for the final. The last thing you have to do is pick up an injury before a big final like this. So I'm hoping that is the case. Or why we were sluggish, that all the guys were trying to protect themselves, and save themselves from getting any big injuries in this match, because Watford are a physical side that we're going to be fighting for every ball and scrap for everything, since they were obviously in the relegation fight. So yeah, I mean, it was one of those. I'm still a bit worried about the spine of our team, the lack of athleticism there. As soon as we've got guys who are big and quicker than us, they can breeze past our midfield and breeze past our defense, and it's still a worry for me. I still think we need a defender, we need a centre back, and I think even two centre backs. The guys we've got there at the moment are subpar, and I don't know if Saliba might be too much of an ask to ask him to come on, and do a job from the off. It's someone who you think would take a season for him to find his feet in the Premier League. So I'm really, really concerned about just that midfield and our defense. Because as soon as you can see, Arteta wants to play a 4-3-3, but as soon as he does that, we look exposed. We look totally exposed there at the back. And today, even for the first time, we look exposed playing with a back three. So it was one of those head scratches.
So you want to say less of David Luiz next season?
The thing is that it wasn't him alone. I think also Rob Holding looked very shaky today. Tenny, look, I mean, he battled against Sar's pace today, but I think in the end he kind of recovered quite well when he went back to a back three. He seemed to grow more confidence, and he was a bit more assured, and he wasn't as tense, because he knew that as soon as they beat him, he knew that David Luiz or Holding didn't have the legs to come from. But once he went to a back three, he looked a bit more assured, because he knew that, look, Kolasinac is there, even if he does miss a tackle. Kolasinac is there to sweep up for him and cover him. So he seemed more assured, was more confident, and played with more authority, I think, when we switched to that back three. Ainsley, I think, had a decent match, but he says he's not a right back, obviously. So there's that conundrum. But it is quite a tough one, and it is quite worrying for me, that the lack of a defensive midfielder, of a resolute, a quick. Because I think Xhaka can do a job, but he can do a job. For him to do a job, he needs to have someone who's going to probably do all his marking and be his legs and be that physical presence next to him to clean up from him, and then let him play the ball, and then maybe have a 10. That's if you're going to obviously play with a 4-3-3. But at the moment, we don't have a 10. We don't have a defensive midfielder. We don't really have two strong centre backs, so we can't play with a 4-3-3. That's why we have to default to this formation we're playing at the moment. And it looks like, I don't think we're going to dip into the transfer market and probably get the reinforcements we need. So it looks like we're probably going to have to see more of this next season.
I mean, is there a player that you've been eyeing that you think could benefit from next season? Either one of you guys? Because I mean, okay, let's put it like this. Do you think we're going to be contending for the trophy next season, or it's still going to be that rebuilding process? Because I mean, we've got the players. Okay, you can go, D.
I think what I foresee for next season is, firstly, in the window, I think you'll see Arteta prioritize creativity in the midfield. For a long while, I was like, oh, the defense, which is still a problem, don't get me wrong. But I think the bigger problem is the midfield. The midfield is a huge problem. There's no craft, there's no creativity in that midfield. So, and you can have the best defenders at the back, but if you're not progressing the ball from back to front through your midfield, you're going to keep having what we have now, is that you have a Rolls Royce of an attack, but you can't get the ball to them. So I think Arteta is going to prioritize whether you want to call it an 8 or a 10, a real playmaker out of the midfield. And I think you'll see him groom Emile Smith-Rowe, the boy who was on loan at Huddersfield, who is a 10-like midfielder, or is believed to have the potential of that type of player. So I think you'll see a focus on that. I think if we can keep Ceballos at least on another loan for another year, and possibly
another loan. You don't want to buy him.
We don't have the money. I think it's not going to be a priority to sign Ceballos if it means big money involved. I think we'd rather have a loan with an obligation to buy in the following season.
Okay.
So I think a creative midfielder, and then Partey if it's possible, or a Partey-like midfielder. Then you have options in Xhaka, in Ceballos, in midfielder X, and your 10-like midfielder, because I think Xhaka and Ceballos, since the restart, have done really well, but they've done more so. I think they've almost gone above and beyond. The two of them, or two midfielders, can't play an entire season the way they've been playing. They're just not. It's too much of a workload. And I think Arteta wants to play a back four, but he feels his defense can't do it currently, and also he's lacking in midfield options. So he'd rather put more bodies in defense than put a midfield that is dysfunctional. Because even when you have 3-4, if the guys can't do what they're supposed to do, the midfield does more harm than good. So I think you'll prioritize that. Defense, a few guys have to be offloaded for them to actually make the space. I think that's something that a lot of people haven't been talking enough of. It's great to say we want to buy so many defenders, but there's guys we need to move off. Like Socrates. Most likely Mustafi as well. And if you can't get those guys out of the squad, we have no room to add up there. And I think, last, I think also I'd like to see us get another winger. I think we might lose Lacazette, so we probably will get another winger of some type. We've got,
is it that you don't mind? Is it that you, Is it that you don't mind losing Lacazette, or it's that you just foresee it?
I would like to keep him. I think in terms of raising funds, not a lot of places where we're going to be able to do that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we choose to let Lacazette go. If we keep Aubameyang, to get a bit more funds in and invest somewhere else. I don't know that Reece Nelson is going to make it, and he might be another place where we can bring in more funds. So that's where I see some of the changes. But I think first and foremost is the midfield. I think Arteta is going to prioritize that more than anything else.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I agree with you on a lot of aspects. So in defense, as much as you're right, as much as we would like to get better quality in there, the big theme there would be to try and offload the existing players there. Can we offload a Holding or a Chambers? The Socrates definitely has to go. Has Mustafi maybe done enough now to attract potential suitors? So for me, probably those would be the two. Mustafi and Socrates would probably be the easiest, right, or the ones that we would prioritize to get out the door. And then if not, maybe see if we can get like a Rob Holding and try bring Rob Holding out the door, and then try bring someone else who's got better quality. But alas, that seems to, obviously, I think that's going to be a big problem to move those people out. And the key issue is that we don't have a number 10 probably post that, and that there is no creativity in midfield. And for me, as much as Emile Smith-Rowe does play 10, he's more of like a Ramsey player. He's more of like a box to box player. He's similar to almost like a Joe Willock, who's just got legs. He's very box to box, and they don't have that creativity to kind of unlock a tight defense, to pick out that pass.
That De Bruyne.
Yeah, that exactly that killer type ball. So that probably is, and I've seen Arteta speaking about it more and more as these in the past few weeks. And to me, like, it seems that that's probably going to be his priority now. And I'm assuming that he's saying that's his priority because he's thinking in the back pocket he's got Ceballos probably staying on maybe for another year at the very least. Because I think the priority is Ceballos staying on probably in that midfield. Because if we lose him, we pretty much buggered. There's no, we don't have any form of creativity or ball retention ability in that midfield. So
Yeah.
if I think first prize would probably be or for Arteta, I think his first prize is to probably get a 10 and a defensive midfielder. So if he can get a Party and a number 10, and obviously with the hope that we are able to retain Sabas. And especially if we move on Guendouzi, I think that might also free up
Yeah,
some funds for us
that's what I was
to
about.
do a deal. And then if he's not able to do that, then we might find Lacazette being a sacrificial lamb to also generate funds. But it looks like Lacazette is really determined to stay on and play it, and looks like Arteta wouldn't want to let go of him quite easily. But I
Yeah.
think if he does let go of him, I think that the rationale will be we'll have Aubameyang playing as our 9, and then we've got Nketiah as his backup if need be. So I think that will probably be what the rationale that will kind of cushion the blow when the club sits around the table and Raul Sanelli and Edu and Arteta sit together and decide what our plans are going forward. But
Yeah.
I'm not, as you know, you go as an Arsenal fan to these transfer windows with not a lot of hope, but I'm hoping maybe they can they can finally do the right thing and pull a few rabbits out the hat. But only time will tell.
Yeah. Okay, so like let's just go back to the game real quick. I don't know, like I mean, we scored 3 goals, but it still felt like a disappointing match to watch somehow. Who was your worst player? D. You can start with you because you're the first lady.
Yeah. I'd probably say, I think going on what we saw, I think it has to be someone in defense. I don't know that I would single anybody out. I just think all four as a whole looked problematic. But I guess if I'm singling someone out, maybe David Luiz. Not because I think he did anything glaringly wrong in particular. Well, he did a few things, but I just think he looks so unsettled, and it's really concerning that he can look like such a different player in a back four versus a back three. I can't wrap my mind around that chalk and cheese like difference, which is unbelievable. And I think a bigger issue again, and it's an issue that's been not Arteta's alone, it's been an issue for a number of years, is just Arsenal's consistent inability to game manage. The in-game management is just shocking. I think for me that is symptomatic of a poor midfield, because if your midfield has control, you're able to pull both sides, front and back, a little bit better. So for as long as, again, that type of issue continues, I think we'll continue to struggle to see out matches and contribute to this type of result, which is a huge problem. It's a lot for Arteta to try and instill, but I also think on his side, I don't know if it's lack of options or what, but I do sometimes get frustrated with some of his changes. I think they can at times be unnecessarily negative and continue to invite pressure when you need to relieve pressure. So hopefully that, he's early into his career. Hopefully that improves with time and also with better options off the bench.
Yeah. No, for sure. I was about to say, is it the options or is it his decisions? I don't know. I don't know what to blame.
I think it's a bit of both.
Hey, Koketsu, what's up, man? How you doing?
Yo, how's everyone?
Yeah, good and you, man.
How's it?
Yeah, we're good, man.
Yeah, no, I was just listening to actually very good analysis. Just to touch on the transfers, yeah, I think we're really, really overloaded at the back. And not really anyone is like A class. So I think we need to actually sell a lot of people in the back. Don't forget, we still have that kid coming in. So I think that even if it's not so much, just move the people. We've got too many of them. And they are all the same level of bad. At least you can have 2 bad on the bench, not the whole backline is bad. Chenyu's coming in. Chenyu, but he was better attacking than defending. Really square that away. But hey, you can still win a championship with them, with such a player. After all, Liverpool's wing backs are not really the best defenders. So, but I have to agree with the Middlefield thing. That you were saying that it's actually very weird. 'Cause I keep on looking, how the hell are we losing the Middlefield? The Middlefield is really not as bad as it used. Like we've kind of had the same kind of quality of Middlefield for the past at least 5 years. So why can we not maintain the Middlefield? Xhaka's been there for a while. Xhaka was around when we could maintain the middle. Where with Arsenal, it was like, yeah, they'll always have the ball, but they're still gonna lose. We'll catch them on the counter.
Yeah.
Why the hell can we not get the ball right now?
Yeah.
Why is our midfield such? Yeah. So midfielders, I think there's gonna be a need to make a lot of changes. Get some people who actually want to hold on. I actually don't know. I don't know what cause we don't really have such a bad midfield. If let's say Torre and Xhaka plays and Bios up front, just in front of them, the typical 4-2-3 formation, we should be able to stand against a lot of other teams. If you look at other teams and us, on paper,
on paper, I was about to add that. Yeah.
On paper, even where we just finished right now, it's like was actually just saying it in the Arsenal group that we're actually not so bad on paper. How are we doing so badly? Even with Liverpool, how they were like, oh, we all thought that it's going to be a loss and everything. Our team is really not so bad on paper. If you put them man for man, it's really not so bad. Yes, okay, take an example up front. If you're going to look at, what's the guy who plays for Liverpool?
Which one?
Guy who actually plays as a striker at Liverpool. Aubameyang. Yeah, Aubameyang is on the same level. Pepe is as good as the Suda, I think. If he was supposed to be settled by now for that amount of money, you really need to not still not settled.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we should have just went to go get the older version of Pepe from Crystal Palace and just hold it to play.
Wow.
Okay, in the midfield, Liverpool's midfield is not really the best, people. It's really, really not the best. If you just name the two holdings or the two midfield players and they are taking midfielder, they're really not so different from our team. So why the hell were we battered against Liverpool? Why the hell could we not even, to show that this team is just full of shit? If you look at the Aston Villa game, why the hell were they in that position? Did they just forget how to defend within a game?
Yeah.
They just defended for their lives just a couple of days before. And then you come again and now you can't defend for shit. Aston Villa, the amount of changes they had. That's why like there's something going on, there's something needs to be fixed. I'm not sure if maybe Arsene Wenger was really a miracle, was maybe a Gandalf or some magician going on that made such a bad team look not so bad, not so bad. Right now we don't even look like we deserve to be in the top 6.
Yeah.
To be really honest, the way we played is good. We're not in the top 6, and that brings me up to my one of my last points is that there's I'm so in between things. I'm not sure if we should actually win against Chelsea next week, so that we don't go to Europa.
Whoa.
If we go to Europa,
how can you say that?
No, listen to me. If we go to Europa, we're gonna get our coach trying to play our stars in Europa. They're probably gonna get injured or something's gonna happen, and then you still want to play them on Sunday. They're gonna be game overloaded, and then and it's gonna affect us. The biggest problem about playing Europa is that you're playing against a really weird team. You're going through over to some weird stadium in Europe. The traveling time, and this means you have to come play on Sunday. Because it seems like at least now they moved all the games to Sunday. And Europa sometimes, that's like, I know we need Europa so that we can actually at least have a bit of more money in our transfer kitty. You know, but it just might not be the best of options to end up in Europa. Maybe we should just have a whole week break every time. That just might be better.
No.
I really don't know. I'm out of words fast though. Mostly when they started doing this nonsense thing that they did second half. Like what? How can you be watching two teams? It's like the second half another team came on. Who couldn't square? Who couldn't pass? Who couldn't defend? Did you see the last 10 minutes, people? These people just couldn't defend. We're just lucky that Watford was doing whatever they were doing there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they couldn't defend. All of a sudden.
Hitting us with wave after wave of attack.
But that for me started when he took off. When he took off Ceballos. As soon as he took off Ceballos, he just invited Watford to keep attacking.
Yeah.
So Torreira really struggled to impose himself in the game because physically, I think he couldn't match any of the midfielders, and he also just doesn't have the guy or the nous to be able to play out from the back. And also, I think he cerebrally he doesn't make as good a decisions as Ceballos. Ceballos seems to have really found the ability for him to be able to know, okay, this ball I can win. This is when I should actually be going in for the tackle. This is when I should actually be standing off and just covering my position. Whereas Torreira seems to be going and thinking that he can win every ball, and he gets caught out some of the times when the defenders, the attacking player just shrugs him off, and then he's leaving Xhaka exposed. I think it's quite difficult, right, at the moment for Arteta, because the reason why I think he makes some of the bad substitutions he does is because he doesn't trust that the players that he's got at the time can do the job. And it seems also that the players in our team don't seem to have a lot of confidence in their own abilities and in the abilities of some of the players around them. The things that you see sometimes that when some of the guys have got the ball, you see a lot of them motioning to the guys, you should be here, you should be there, gesturing to them, why aren't you making this run? Why aren't you pulling back to come and call for the ball? But we've got the ball at the time, but you're seeing these players remonstrating with each other that you're not doing what we had practiced a couple of days ago. And to me, that is a worry. And it's a worry and it's a concern that it seems that a lot of the players don't trust the ability of their players. So the guys seem to get nervous whenever we're in a bit of a bind, whenever the opposition is now coming to us, they've got a header steam. Our players, some of them will start panicking like, hey, if I make a mistake here, David Luiz is not gonna be able to rectify it at the back. It's goal time. Xhaka knows that if I get caught on the ball here, it's a shot on goal or it's a goal. And that nervousness kind of breeds the indecision and the rashness and the stupid decisions that some of these players make when we get into those types of situations where now they end up forgetting literally how to do basic things like, okay, if I'm in the corner here, actually I should be shielding the ball. I should be maybe looking to play the simple ball. And the guys get caught up in stupid things like they don't know now anymore. Should I be crossing the ball? Should I be holding it up and playing it back to my right back? You know what I'm saying? Should I actually be playing it down the middle? Should I be playing it back to the keeper? So you end up seeing them doing a lot of getting confused, balls being kicked aimlessly into touch. And I think that's just purely because of that issue. And I think it's something that Arteta has still got a lot of work to do in working the confidence of the players and getting them to believe in themselves and getting them to believe in the people around them. And you are starting to see pockets of it. You are starting to see Xhaka playing a lot better than he was, I think, before Arteta came.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
He's still that confidence in some of the players. He's instilled it in Ceballos. You've seen him instill it in Xhaka. You've seen him instill it in Mustafi to a certain degree as well, and they're playing a lot better than they were. But I think there are still those underlying issues within the squad with confidence and trust.
So
that defense.
Okay.
For that defense, how do we sort out that defense?
You know the saying. You know the saying for with championships. If with an attack, for a good attack you buy, the defense you build. No matter which centre backs we buy, if we're not coached properly, it's not going to make a difference. So I think Arteta is going to prioritize organizing the guys, and he's made a lot of progress so far with players that a lot of us have written off. So I think we'll see him look to improve Mari, mentor Saliba, David Luiz, or probably not extend beyond the 1 year extension. Suarez, Bellerin. If these guys can be coached properly to at least not do stupid things the way they've been doing it for the last few years, as a bare minimum, and sort out the midfield, I think you will see so much progress. Even what we've had so far, the number of clean sheets since Arteta has taken over, it is on an upward trajectory. So hopefully that continues. But I don't think we will see wholesale changes to the defense or surgery. I think it's going to be a lot of coaching and looking to improve what they're doing and making sure that the entire system works better together.
But we are bloated in the defense. Like, we are really bloated. The amount of defenders there are there. And it's like, okay, it's not that I'm not saying that they must go buy you defenders and everything. With the sleeper kid, you just need someone who's gonna partner him. A good player who's gonna partner him. Someone who maybe might cool him down if he's a bit, hot behind the ears, I think it's called, or whatever that saying goes. Because of his age. Maybe he might need someone who's older by him. But we've got substitutes. We've got too many substitutes playing in the game itself. You kind of, it's quite hard to maintain stars on the bench, but those people are substitutes. What we have right now are supposed to be the substitutes. They're supposed to be the people who should come on to play against in Europa. Not in our very serious games. The kids. Give them the game at Europa. Don't try, because my biggest fear is that they're gonna start playing all these our big names in Europa. That's my biggest fear. And then we're gonna get injuries left and right.
It's the same thing Clochi was saying in the last session we had, where he actually doesn't want us to. Well, he was talking about via the Premier League. He's like, nah, I don't want us to get the points to get to Europe. But now there's the opportunity of doing it via the FA Cup. It's like, no, I don't want it. It'll be great to win a trophy, but he doesn't want us to play in the Europa, because it's going to wear out our players over time and affect our ability to perform in the BPL and also to just generally develop. So I don't know. Like, that being said, what do you guys think? Obviously, you want us to win the title. I mean, the FA Cup next week, but
winning is a habit, guys. Winning is a habit, and the more you do it, the easier it gets. Arteta needs something like an FA Cup that builds confidence in a squad. In the Aubameyang, the Lacazette, the young boys. I can't agree with anyone who thinks winning the FA Cup is a bad thing. Yes, we might be spread a bit thin with Europa, but that's the kind of thing that can hopefully attract a slightly higher caliber of players by at least having some European football.
It's a good problem to have.
And then and then you trust Arteta to manage the squad the best he can. I think there needs to be a certain amount of humility. Sorry, I'll wrap up this part quickly. There needs to be a certain amount of humility about where the squad currently is. I'd love for Arsenal to say we're a top four side and we're challenging for the league, but we simply aren't. And we need to meet the players where they are, and the players need to meet their own ability where they actually are. I think David Luiz said it before the City game about the humility, needing to admit the level that we're at, and then adapting accordingly. So the way Arteta has been setting us up recently, I think he wants to play a certain way, but he currently can't do that with the players available. So I'd like for them to continue to build up to that point. Get results where the best way you can, but you continue to aim for a higher level. So I hope that is the building towards the squad.
And breed winners.
Because that's that ability in the squad.
For me, next week's match is massive, I think, for Arteta, because a win for Arteta will be huge. It will show the board that, look, we've made the right decision. I'm the guy to back. Going back, but you see what I can deliver with this shoestring budget and a nonsensical team.
I mean, Unai Emery made it to the final of the Europa. In his first season as well.
And then we got absolutely tonked. And then after we got tonked 4-1,
the same squad were up against, same team were up against this coming week.
that's the thing. But remember, every game is different, right? So this
Yeah.
is if anything can happen. It's a cup final, anything can happen. And for me, this is a massive, 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 massive game for Arteta, and it could be quite a big point in in, in Arsenal's history. If we can go and win, yeah, the people could point to it as the time when we actually turned the corner, and we were able to actually generate that good feel good feeling, that winning mentality. We're able to convince our top players to actually believe in this project and stay on. And if we are playing in the Europa Cup, look, none of us want to play there, but so be it. And
Yeah.
it's a good. At the end of the day, it's still a good tool that we have used to develop some of our
Yeah.
youngsters, and a
Yeah.
lot of them have come on to be actually a core part of this team. So
Exactly.
that is the one thing that I will trust Arteta to do, is that if we do make Europa, he will use it as an avenue to play some of these youngsters, to develop them, and
Yeah.
also to see which players, some of the weaker players, give them a run, and also see actually which ones he should be getting rid of. He will
Yeah.
use that as, for me, as a gauge. So
Yeah.
actually, this guy he's not even good for this level.
Yeah.
Let me get him out. Let me get him out the door. Or if
Yeah.
he says, look, even though I'm struggling to get this guy out the door, I can keep him at least for these Europa League games where he will be able to get us by, and we
Yeah.
can get by to at least the knockout stages, and then I'd
Yeah.
start fielding my stronger side for later on
Yeah.
in the tournament. So for me, I think, look, I'll take it as much as, yeah, it will be. I'm tired of watching Thursday night football, but I think for the greater good of the club, besides the financial standpoint, the ability that it gives us to breed
Develop.
youngsters and bring
Yeah.
youngsters
Yeah.
through the system is going to
Yeah.
be very, very, very pivotal.
Mm.
And to Dee's point, we will be able to at least attract a certain caliber of player by saying that, look, we are playing in some European tournaments. So
Yeah.
we will be at least be able
Exactly.
to attract the same level of players that Tottenham might be, let's say, looking for in the transfer window.
Yeah.
Because we'd be like, actually, what, we're a bigger club than these guys, and we're playing in
Yeah.
the same tournament.
Okay.
So whereas now we're in a hiding to nothing if we don't make any of those tournaments. We're
Two,
basically a mid-table club with nothing
two,
to offer, really. But
two,
we,
two,
yeah.
2 minutes left. Closing remarks. Let's start with Our Lady, of course.
Um, time, guys. I think that's a big thing. Liverpool didn't win the league overnight, so there's a certain amount of patience required, and
From us
it
as
takes time for
fans.
players from us as fans and from the
Yeah.
players themselves.
Yeah.
I think it takes time to learn certain things, and Arteta so far he's done a lot of very good things, and is on the upward curve. So I'm cautiously optimistic for next season, and hopefully next Saturday goes well.
Okay. Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. Look, well, I don't normally say I'm optimistic about next week, but for me, I think the key theme for us is let's make the right buys, and hopefully Raus and Eli and Edu can really pull off some rabbits out of their hats and get us the right players and get Arteta the support he needs. And I mean, next week is a cup final. Anything can happen. We are the underdogs, but I like that. In terms of, like, we are the dogs, got nothing to lose, and hopefully our boys can surprise us next week.
Okay. Underdogs. Go get some.
The only thing I want to say is that I still feel better with Martinez in the post. I know a lot of people disagree with me. It feels more safer with Leno, and his spilling of the balls always gets me a bit. I still think Martinez is a better all-rounder.
Yeah. Me too. Okay, guys. Thanks so much for the input. See you at the final. Right?
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Cheers.
All right. Peace.
Bye.